All right, let's call the meeting to order at 7:01. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can you do the roll call, Warren?
Teresa.
Present.
Michelle.
Here.
Kate.
Here.
Gladys.
Here.
Lauren. Here. Jesse.
Here.
Bridget. Here. Julie.
Here.
Ralph.
Present.
Al.
Present.
And Louisa.
Here.
All right, flying here. Okay, no recognitions. Public participation. The board welcomes public participation and asks that comments be limited to 3 minutes. The public may offer objective comments of school operations and programs that concern them. The board will not permit any expression of personal complaints or defamatory comments about Board of Education personnel and students, nor against any person connected with the Danbury Public School System. So we have one person, Oswaldo Chen. I said that right?
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity and thank you for your service. And before I comment, I would like to ask a question to any, for the record, to any board members that you guys would be kind enough to answer. The proposed new charter school, would that be under the jurisdiction of this board? For the record, anybody can remember.
We don't answer in public
So
session.
that would be enough. Okay, thank you, appreciate it. That's what I need to do. You know, people, many of the constituents and citizens, and including myself, we're feeling very disappointed because I think we feel that we have put the Foxes in charge of the in-house. Okay. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we elected you guys, or some of you guys appointed, to defend and to protect our safety net. But some of you guys are cheerleading to open up a charter school in Denver. Something that you guys will not have an oversight. I mean, why you guys are doing that? That's a disservice to our children and to our community. That you guys are cheerleading for something that you guys not going to have no direct oversight of. And we wonder why people don't believe in the politicians, because they all have an agenda. And you guys don't have the guts to stand up. You guys good soldiers, just to get the water for the guys in power. That's really sad. And I'm sad because I immigrated to this country very young, and I come from a country that, from neo-liberalism economy, that everything is privatized. And it's said that we, the Latinos, are helping to destroy this country.
30 seconds.
Thanks so much. And that, it makes me sad. So I don't call the Latinos my brothers, I call the Latinos in name only. That's very sad. And you guys will be done someday. But remember, the dishonesty will remain. Thanks so much.
There was only one name on the list. Anybody else in the audience that wants to speak? No? Going once, twice? Thank you. All right. Bridget, can you make that motion?
Motion that the Board of Education approve the items on the consent calendar, exhibits 23-51 through 23-55, as recommended, inclusive of minutes. Inclusive of the minutes, the special board meeting, the regular board meeting, curriculum committee minutes, sites and facilities committee minutes, and the special board meeting minutes.
Motion made by Bridget. Yes, seconded by Kane. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Educational representatives. Student representatives. Any student representatives here? I know Kaylee. Come on up, Kaylee.
All right, it looks like I'm the only one. Good evening. Hello? Okay. Good evening, Board of Ed members, Cabinet and community members. Thank you for allowing us to speak on behalf of the Alternative Center for Excellence. On Thursday, March 23rd, ACE will be administering the 11th grade SAT. The SAT is coordinated at ACE by Kyle Tricola. Thank you, Kyle, for organizing the ACE students and staff to be able to participate and proctor this important test. On the same day, Katia Paragostini, Greg Piacentini, Haley Armstrong, and Ashley Honker will take the 9th and 10th graders to White Memorial Conservation Center in Litchfield, Connecticut. The ACE 12th graders will take a trip to Naugatuck Valley Community College, Waterbury, and Danbury campuses. Diana DiNardo and Anthony Hallman will tour the campuses with the ACE seniors. ACE green chemistry students will visit the Norwalk Aquarium on Tuesday, March 28th. This trip will introduce them to the aquatic natural world and its biodiversity. In addition to regular admission to exhibits throughout the aquarium, students will experience the 4D theater showing BBC's Earth Octopus, Blue Planet 2. April is the start of National Poetry Month, and on Monday, April 3rd, 25 artists and poets from ACE will take a trip to Washington, Connecticut to hike at the Hidden Valley Preserve. Inspired by the beautiful woods, the Chuquag River, and the transcendental boats that span the railing on the Thoreau Bridge. The group will spend a day hiking and creating. ACE poets have taken an annual poetry hike since 2017, and this is the first year that art students will join them to sketch nature in the beautiful New England countryside. It is my pleasure to recognize our 2 February students of the month for their outstanding efforts both in the classroom and in our ACE community. This month's winners are, I can't pronounce his middle name, I'm sorry, Jason Ordonez and Haley Sanchez. ACE would like to recognize our February Ace of Hearts winner, Justin Poma, for his caring nature and willingness to help others. February Ace of Spades winner for hard work is Genesis Andukar. ACE staff recognized 2 CABE Award winners for willingness to take on challenges, concern for others, ability to work with others, and willingness to commit to a project. This year's recipients are Cole Ferrantino and Sian Rodriguez. Lastly, the ACE staff also selected 2 students for the Superintendent's Award. Genesis Andukar and Tyler Sherr were selected due to their completion of community service, academic success, and leadership service to the school community. Congratulations to all of our winners. Thank you all for allowing us to share what is going on with our ACE family, and have a nice evening, stay healthy, and remain ACE strong.
Thank you, Kaylee.
Have a nice day, everyone.
You too.
Bye.
Good to see you.
Is there any student representatives from Danbury High School? So, Ms. Ashley,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like you to entertain a motion to table action item A until our next meeting. We have further clarification coming. Since the meeting was just last night, it'd be beneficial until our next meeting to present that report.
Okay, so a motion by Al to table action item A. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, pretty much everyone? Teresa? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Abstention.
One abstention, so we will table that item until next time. All right. Ms. Cooper, can you read motion B?
23-24 school calendar. I move that the Board of Education approve 2023-2024 school calendar in accordance with Exhibit 23-57, page 22.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Cooper. Any second?
Second.
Second by Julie. Any discussion?
Just a quick question. Looking over it, I'm gonna be honest with you, didn't have a chance to go in and compare what we are currently doing. And I guess to the superintendent, I don't think there were any changes in the calendar for 24.
There were no changes to the calendar that we had in information, Ms. Cooper. And just in terms of shifts, some of the biggest shifts were, so right now we have Good Friday, and then it's the following week, and we typically have a week off. Next year, it's just 1 week. It just doesn't fall naturally when we have a Friday and the subsequent week off. What's the other thing?
One additional half day.
And it's one additional half day that we have recommended for the 23-24 calendar. And we also want to take this opportunity to let the board know that we plan to have a 2-year calendar for the board's consideration when we come back to you this time. So we'll have 23-24 plus a 2-year lookout for consideration when we come back to you.
A couple of weeks ago, and it goes back to the calendar, Mr. Chair, we had like 2 days were sort of together, and the parents were saying they really liked that, because I think in the previous years, you came to school, you were off, you came back to school, and then you were off a day, then you had to come. I don't remember what holiday it was, but I heard a lot of people, parents saying that they really appreciated the school system doing the calendar that way, had 2 straight days together.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. And one of those days, I believe, was, I know Thanksgiving, we made an adjustment and then there were also some interrupted days in our calendar that we worked on fixing in this last school year. Okay, Carol, did you want to say something?
No, and it just that February break, having that second day, it just seemed to come at the right time for everybody this year. I don't think there was a lot of complaints about that either, so.
I think that's the day Ms. Cooper was referring to.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. Moving right along. Superintendent's report. This might be a record. Yeah, come on. Yeah, keep it quick.
So I will, so first I'd like to talk about the upcoming budget process and important dates for the board to be aware of and our community to be aware of. We just got confirmation on a couple of these items from our city partners. And for our board members, I believe this is already also in your packet. And so Monday, April 17th, which is when the system comes back from spring break, we will meet and present to the Education Budget Ad Hoc Committee. So some of our board members may recall last year, Mr. Spang and I made that presentation along with our previous board chair, Rachel Gillespie. We made a presentation, then the city made a presentation. There was considerable discussion and questions. And then subsequently, we had the city council public hearing later on in that month. And so no different in this year's calendar. On the 17th, we'll have the Education Budget Ad Hoc Committee meeting. On the Wednesday, April 19th, City Council will have their public hearing. And on Tuesday, May 2nd, there will be a little bit of a gap. The City Council will adopt the budget and basically address what our kind of spending will be for next school year. And
And then on, projected anyway, on Wednesday, May 24th, we will be asking the board to adopt the revised budget or accept the recommended budget that will be made to the city on Wednesday, May 24th. And then you may also see a line here that we might need either a committee meeting or a special board meeting to talk about any adjustments that may have made or the city council may have approved. So in between May 2nd and May 24th, there might be a need to discuss any adjustments that we might have to make. But right now, as of right now, we have not scheduled that. So I just want to prepare the board and the finance committee. Again, the board might prefer to have a special board meeting to discuss any adjustments that might have to be made. But if the board desires, we can also just talk about those adjustments in finance committee. So that's board update number 1. Part B, I'm more excited to talk about, although that was very important. But Voice for Change, and you've heard me now talk about Voice for Change a couple of times now. I'm sure many in our community are still trying to understand what that's about. I'm going to try to provide a little bit more clarity this evening, but also talk about how the exciting opportunity our kids and one of our teachers just had in Washington, D.C. with the Commission of Education in Connecticut. So Voice for Change is an initiative led by my commissioner, Russell Tucker. Very exciting times. During the pandemic, the initiative was launched. It provides voice for our kids here in the state of Connecticut. I'm more specifically concerned about our kids here in Danbury Public Schools. It provided an opportunity for our kids to have voice and submit an application to the State Education Department on how they would like to use these relief monies to better benefit the Danbury public school community. Number one, and I know I said this before, but I like bragging about it, our kids submitted more applications to the state of Connecticut than any school district in the entire state of Connecticut. And so Commissioner Russell Tucker came down to Danbury soon thereafter, last spring, I believe, last winter or spring last year, and was just, I was proud because we had a commissioner here, and we used that opportunity to tell her about the academies, and we really showed off that day. But we walked around Danbury High School. She walked around the building, hand in hand with Dan Donovan. It was a really great day for us. And she really just came in to applaud us and thank us for our participation in this initiative, because this was her baby, and we made her look really good. The story gets better. And so our kids who submitted the application won a couple of grants and awards, like most districts across the state. Everyone, they had a certain amount of monies. 2 of our applications were winners. One of the applications was, and one of the reasons why the commissioner said she chose it, because of all the submissions across the state of Connecticut, only one submission focused on supporting teachers to support kids. And she was particularly drawn to that one for that reason. So that was one of the ones that was awarded. There was another one around, I believe, improving water fountains in the school and access to water in the buildings. Thank you. And so both of those were awarded. I believe it was $20,000 or $30,000. We outfitted our teacher workroom with new furniture, and it was a great way to support our staff at the school, all led by our kids. And so fast forward to this school year, the commissioner, along with commissioners from every state in the United States, went to our nation's capital on this past Monday. And at that convention of commissioners around the country, they talked about this very important initiative that took place here in Connecticut. Well, you might recall, because we paraded Heather Lorenzen here a couple of meetings ago along with Dan Donovan to talk about that they extended this invitation to Heather Lorenzen and 2 of our students. Well, 2 of our students had graduated, but also represented Danbury Public Schools in the entire state of Connecticut. So I was under the impression there were other kids and other teachers there. No. It was only one teacher, our teacher from Danbury High School, and two of our former students sitting on the stage with the Commissioner of Education, no one else, representing the entire state of Connecticut as ambassadors of Danbury community and the state of Connecticut, and they were absolutely amazing. I felt like I was watching CNN. And so I'm saying this because our board should be proud, our staff should be proud, our kids should be proud, and our community should be proud, and the state of Connecticut, quite frankly, should be proud. It was amazing representation of what we produce here in the Danbury community. And by the way, the parents should be proud too, because they were amazing. I'm saying all of this to say, once we get the link, because we had a live link, I was not able to watch the entire thing, but I sure watched when our kids were up on the stage. But the taped version of the link will be available on the state's website. Once we get it, it will be available on our website. Kids were amazing. I had to provide that update to brag about that. We looked amazing on Monday, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'll make sure we provide an update to you when it's up on the website. We'll send that to the entire school community as well. I think I saw some kids in the background smiling when I was talking. And so
Could we applaud for this?
yes, please.
We invite the former students back with the teacher to do some recognition here for them.
I will speak with Ms. Lorenz and see if we can coordinate those schedules. Thank you. Thank you, Board Chair. And so the next update, and so once again, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the curriculum committee and participating in several meetings with Dr. Casimiro and her team in trying to get a better understanding about our reading program and what this could mean possibly for our kids here in Danbury. I know Dr. Casimiro has talked extensively about the science of reading legislation and what that means for our students. And we have an update. So I know we had shared 2 programs with the committee recently. I think it was a couple of board meetings ago in their workshop. And after careful consideration, I think we have a recommendation we'd like to share with the board and school.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Austin. I think the last time we met as a curriculum committee, I think there was no secret that we were leaning in the Art Core direction. The 2 programs that we had reviewed were the Amplify CKLA and the Art Core programs. And we discussed the merits of both, the cost of both, and sort of the general feedback on both of those. And I think we were in sort of the 75% bucket in the Art Core. Happy to report we're kind of in the 95% bucket with making the final decision in that direction. And so we've been meeting a little bit in more detail with the folks at Art Core to dig in to some key areas around the different texts and selections and options to make sure that, that we're well aware of all the details that encompass the program. And then going through some of the paces around their ability to support us through a rollout, which would be important to us to make sure that there's enough professional technical support for a district this size. And so we're kind of in the final conversations around those. We met with principals today. We're excited about the update. We had some conversations with them. We're going to be circling back on Monday with the original group of stakeholders that got together initially to see all the programs and kind of go through all the different vendors, which included teachers, instructional coaches, supervisors, curriculum administrators, and principal representatives. So we'll meet with them on Monday to give them the update and kind of let them know where we are in the process. And then we're going to have host an after-school meeting with the teachers, and then put that information together to make sure that they're well apprised as well. And most likely in an upcoming PD, we'll be discussing potential rollout scenarios with them so we can make sure that they're well in the loop. I know they're a little anxious to find out, the final selection. And so we'll be working through the details with Art Core on that before we hit a final go button. But again, we want to make sure that we reach all of our stakeholders and circle back with the feedback loops that we put into place to make sure that we're rock solid in our decision making. In addition to that, we already had first rounds with our literacy supervisor interviews, which went very well. We have some great candidates that we're bringing back for a second round. Through those discussions and conversations, of course, literacy programming and the state initiative all came up, and so we feel confident that these two pieces, regardless of who we go with in the second round of interviews, will align nicely with some of the outcomes of the literacy program selection. So we feel like we've got some streams coming together moving forward, and we're really ready to put the final kind of nail in this very soon. One of the stipulations that we had with the different groups that we would have gone with is that their ability to deliver to us the goods within a certain amount of time so that we can get these new materials in the hands of our teachers before the end of the school year. Teachers always like to peruse things during the summer or have some information so they're not walking in cold with some things. So we may even be able to get some professional development in by the end of this year to make sure that folks feel good about what's coming and any rollout that goes with that. So that is where we are at, and hopefully by the next time that we meet, we'll give you an update that we have sealed the deal and that things are being ordered and that we're well underway. We'll also roll out a comprehensive professional development plan that goes with that, which I'm happy to share, and probably get the conversation started in the curriculum committee. That's coming up.
Teresa?
Can you give us what it costs?
So the range, I did present the range of numbers. I can pull up what was presented from the original numbers. We are working through, some of the parts that we're working through now with the vendor are around the number of materials in the different packaging. And so I think the range on that one was 3.4, 3.7 that we talked about with Art Core. It's upwards of 4 with adding the appropriate text in for the number of teachers that we have, as well as the professional development package. The other thing that we're working through right now, which kind of tips the number up, is the fact that we're likely going to do a 2-year rollout instead of a 1-year rollout. We're going to purchase all the materials up front, but then roll out in stage K3, 4, 5. That's what we're talking about right now, which will mean a little extra professional development over 2 years instead of doing everything over in the first year. With some professional development for our administrators as well. To offset that though, we did have an opportunity to meet with some of our state leaders. We had talked about with the curriculum folks that there was this grant money that we're trying to nail down as to how to access it that has been made available. So I did follow up on that. Kevin and I did have a meeting with our state reps, and they mentioned that will be open in our grant system within a couple of weeks. And so there'll be an opportunity, hoping to offset some of that through this grant application, which is competitive, of course, but with the professional development package, I think that the nature of the grant and the intended purpose and the professional development package that we want to roll out over the 2 years, that may be a really good fit for the purpose of the grant, and I'm hoping that we'll be successful with that.
Kara, if you could just briefly also explain, because to some of our families and perhaps even some of our staff and board members, we heard that evening 2 different presentations and the numbers associated with each presentation, right? And there was a significant gap in between what we heard the cost was going to be. But I also learned after speaking with you and several other folks that there was some hidden costs that were not necessarily part of the presentation. And like one was like 3.7 and the other one was 1 point something, but it also sounds like there were significant needs that were not part of the presentation. So can you just speak to that gap?
Sure. So some of the biggest difference is the number of texts that one program includes, which is Art Core. So it comes with everything you need to implement a program, whereas one of the other programs that we were considering, you would have to go and match texts and find texts and buy those texts separately. So it's a little bit more of an a la carte option, so initially when we were learning about the prices, we're like, whoa, that's a big difference there, and we were heading down one direction. But once we started to really dig in with what is included in that, it became very apparent that was something that would be important, and also save us a lot of time and effort to have to match text to units to align, and then to kind of roll that out piecemeal independently over the course of a couple of years. So resources in general over the last several years have been a bit of an issue. We've talked at length at different times about bolstering our libraries and our text collections and our text sets. One of the greatest features of this program is the number of nonfiction text sets and collections, particularly around science topics that are aligned to the NGSS, which help to dovetail the learning in that content area as well, and really build a lot of background knowledge and schema for kids, chock full of vocabulary, engaging photos and pictures, real photos and pictures, not cartoonish photos. So we really love that about the program, that it really is going to come with everything that the teachers and students need to be successful.
Thanks, Carol. And so I had one more update. It's not included on the board agenda, but I do know that I sent, my office sent to the board today an email from the State Department of Education. And I just want to clarify the ask, and I hope I didn't cause any confusion when sending this to you. And if I did, I apologize. So my office received a hard copy letter from the State Department of Education regarding the Danbury Prospect Charter School. And so when that application was initially submitted, it was called Danbury Prospect Charter School. And apparently there are amendments to the actually application itself. And it's a multi-page report, it's a 2-page paper with an appendix, and it's multiple pages. But the ask is, the State Department of Education received a request from DPCS, Danbury Charter School, to amend its initial certificate of approval for state charter, which asks the State Department of Education to consider the following amendments. 2 simple things. Change the school's name from Danbury Prospect Charter School to Danbury Charter School, that's 1. And engage Elevate Charter Schools as its charter management organization, replacing Prospect Schools. And then, based on this, the State Department of Education is asking to solicit and review comments on a request from the local and regional board. And so if there are any comments, concerns, or requests based on these 2 changes, then I'm asked to reach out to my local Board of Education for any comments or concerns, and then I make that information available for our State Board of Education. And so I tried to call the office today to understand if there was anything else, and I did not get anyone before this meeting tonight. Again, I received the letter yesterday, and then of course we need a response back tomorrow. And so that's why I sent it quickly, just so you can have an opportunity to see the letter. So it's dated the 15th, but again, it's a hard copy. I didn't get it until yesterday. So that's why the sense of urgency, and that's why I pushed it out quickly. But I understand it also may have caused some confusion amongst the board members. The ask is a pretty simple one, though. It's really about the name change and the charter group that now they're going to. They've asked for that amendment. If there are any comments or questions, you can email Kara. We will put them together, and we will put all of those comments and concerns and then push them back out to the State Department of Education. Yes.
Is this a new company taking it over, or is just the name change all around?
I believe it's both. And so I think initially the charter was working with one organization. Now they're working with a different group.
It's always different. It's
Correct.
not a name change from the original. Yeah, it's a different company.
Yes. Yes. No, you are.
I asked Kevin to clarify because I didn't like the email or the request personally, and I didn't like the time frame. I'm not commenting on it. You guys do what you want to do, but I didn't like it all the way around. So I'm not commenting on it. You can take our comments and use it. Just not Ralph the board chair, Ralph the board member. Just I didn't like it in general. So that's why I asked him to clarify if anybody else had any questions. But like I said, I'm not commenting. Just me. So thank you, Kevin.
No, you're welcome. And that, I'm sorry, Kevin.
So it's a new program, right? It's a new group, new company that we're talking about, not just the name change, but a new.
Yes,
different
different.
Will we have an
That's why.
opportunity for them to come in and present? Do we get the opportunity to know anything about this group? That we're
No,
voting on?
because we're not the governing body for this group.
Yeah.
They are just asking that our local board, if they have any comments or concerns, to share them with the state. But it's really not in our wheelhouse in terms of that request, Michelle said.
I just didn't.
Yeah, good.
Just for clarity's sake. All right, so for clarity's sake, was the Board of Education asked to comment on the first round of application of Prosper Charter School?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And
If they did, it would have been in the previous
we are only
administration.
being asked now because there are changes to the
Correct.
charter school application, even though that is not applicable.
Correct.
Exactly.
We should get this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is the charter that was approved in 2018. They're just looking to change the name, but the city had already approved it. Everybody's approved it, they're looking to fund it. And in order to do that, these amendments are required. Is that correct?
Those are amendments apparently that they have requested as part of their application submission. And I guess there's a obligation on behalf of the State Department of Education to solicit feedback if there is any. And I think this is part of that process.
That original 2018.
Right, and now there's an amendment, so now it's.
No, I think that's why I was wondering.
But it's connected to that original
It's
submission.
6 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
No?
I just have a problem with the lateness. You know, you send an email and you expect your entire board to respond within overnight or the next day. So, you know, I thought they should have had enough courtesy to at least give us 2 days to think of it. So, you know, I sense the feeling is you do what you want to do. If you want to respond, that's up to you. You don't want to, that's up to you. That's on the state.
And I do think, if I recall, it was 2006. I think back then, you probably remember also, Stu, they did send something like this out when they first did the application. I don't remember if,
Mr. Chairman, I don't remember because I can go back, you know. I can go back to when they had the overall state came down here and we was over at Habitat
Right.
for about 2 hours. So I don't know if that was 2018. It was before COVID set in,
Right.
so.
right. Okay. Yeah, I think Dr. Sal responded back then. That was,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I only asked you because we're the only two who were around for that.
Yeah, okay.
So just for clarification, they're not asking the Board of Ed to take up this topic. They're asking for the individual opinions of people who sit on the Board of Ed to weigh on these very specific line questions.
So the Connecticut State Department of Education is required to solicit and review comments on the requests from the local and regional Board of Education of the town in which the proposed charter school intends to be located. And so collectively, so I don't know if that means one response on behalf of the board or several responses from Kate, Bridget, Lauren, Ralph. I'm not sure. Or if we collectively put one response together on behalf of the board.
To Ralph,
Sure.
I think if we took this up as a discussion, that would be something that we would need to talk to Mr. Mooney about because, again, it's not perfect. So, it's very confusing and I wish that you had been able to get a hold of some of the state. I echo Gladys Cooper's commentary that this timeline is not a service to our board. And it's really a disservice that they put you and your administration and us in a position of response without a lot of clarity. And I would feel more comfortable. Hopefully, they could give you a call back tomorrow and perhaps offer that clarity.
Will do. I will try again.
Thank you.
Is that everything for you?
That concludes our superintendent update.
All right. So, board chairperson's report, nothing to report that I didn't say already. And anyone else, board communications from committees, Anybody out and about? Anybody want to say anything before we wrap this up? I'm looking at you, Alan. Covered it?
At DSABC, their annual breakfast is coming up, and they have a couple fundraisers coming up as well. There's a golf fundraiser and a couple other things that I can send to Kara, and she can send out to the board members. We haven't really gotten
What is it?
it. The DSABC, Danbury Student and Business Connection, is that what it is?
The mentoring program.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you. I looked
Did
into
they
it
change your
the
name?
other day.
And I don't, Ralph didn't give me enough time while he was talking to look for it, so, you know, I wasn't prepared.
TBD.
Yeah, exactly, but it's, the breakfast is in June,
Yes.
and then there's a golf outing in May.
You can look it up after the meeting.
All right, I will, I'm done.
All right. Okay. Looking for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Teresa, second. Second by Michelle, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.